High achiever is a 20th century term, is a concept that comes from the old paradigm where we believed that humans were here to compete against one another to see who was more talented, more capable of taking risks, more brave, more strong, more intelligent, more charismatic, more everything. To the point where the definition of happiness was going on the journey to figure out if you were one of those people, to get an idea that was yours, that came from your brain, your intelligence, implement it. Doesn't matter if it was an artistic project or a business or an independent coaching practice, whatever it was about seeing if you had it in you to be one of those people who had all the talents and had all the courage and had all the instincts, and then be rewarded for it with money, with applause, with recognition, with medals, and thus earn happiness, earn the right to feel valuable in the world. Now, intellectually, we may disagree with that paradigm, but it's also kind of programmed in our subconscious. And that's why when we involve ourselves in the journey of creation, getting an idea and implementing it, it doesn't matter if it's a business, artistic project, any idea, we immediately start behaving with those 20th century instincts. We first get the idea and we think it's brilliant. And then we see that somebody else already thought of it, they're already working on it, they were already featured on the press, and then we think, oh, well, that can't be it because somebody already did it. And I'm supposed to come up with something unique and special, and it turns out that's not unique and special. Or they're probably doing it better anyway, so I'm not even gonna try. Or you get the idea, you start implementing it, and you realize that it's a little bit scary, that you don't have all the skills, that you don't have the courage you thought you had when you got the idea, and then you think, oh, I'm probably not as strong as those people who actually make these things happen. Maybe I don't have the courage. Maybe these talents are just not up to that level, and you abandon it. Or you start implementing it, and you're proud of it. You think it represents your entire intelligence, your entire creativity. You know it's gonna work. Nobody else agrees. Nobody shows up. There's no clients. There's no support. There's nobody else who believes in you. And then you think, well, probably wasn't it. Because if it was, it would get traction immediately. It would take off immediately. I would see the signs that I'm that intelligent and that courageous and have that level of talent to have that overnight success story. And if I don't have that overnight success story, then maybe I'm not meant to do this. Or you launch the idea. It does work. It does take off. People are enjoying it. The money's coming in. And you reach kind of like the first level of, yes, this is working, and you get so excited, but then you get that fear. How do I maintain this? Did I do it by accident? Do I actually deserve this? Or was it just a fluke? Did it just happen because I know I don't have all these talents and yet it's working, so maybe it was just dumb luck. Maybe I just had beginner's luck. And you start thinking more about not losing the little bit you created versus taking more risks and going to the next level. And just continuing to do what the idea needs you to do in order to come into the world. The bottom line is that the process of creation involves a million forks in the road, a million risks, a million mistakes, a million failures. And when you enter it with this 20th century idea of what it's supposed to be, is the story of this human realizing that they have more potential than everybody else, more intelligence than everybody else, more instincts than everybody else, more everything than everybody else, and thus it just works. when you enter believing that that's what the story is supposed to look like, what it's supposed to be, every step of the journey involves suffering and overworking and questioning yourself and these swings of the pendulum where you feel immensely confident and then you feel immensely stupid and then you feel immensely confident and then you feel immensely stupid, and you just have to figure out how to deal with it in order to keep going. And some people learn how to deal with it. Some people succeed despite those 20th century limitations that we set on ourselves, because it's all dependent on the story you build in your mind. If you happen to build a story where you are, or you believe you are, superior, and you're convinced of it, it's not any less of a struggle, but maybe you do get to the finish line. In terms of the outside world, in terms of the recognition, of the money, of all those 20th century medals, but maybe not in terms of enjoying the journey, at being satisfied at every step, feeling like you've accomplished enough and then stopping to enjoy it, finding happiness in other areas of your life, in friends and love and travel, and not just in the process of creation. It's one thing to say that that might work, but it's another to say that that's going to make you happy. But there is another way. You move into this 21st century of intuition and community and surrender. And what that means is that you come to understand that an idea is a spiritual energy, it's a spiritual vibration, it's a spiritual entity, not very different from your soul. It's something coming from some other place, some other plane, some other dimension, trying to enter this world because it needs to, because it has a mission to play in this world. And thus, the same way that a soul, a baby, from a very spiritual perspective, chooses their parent because it knows, like, this is the parent that's going to activate the story I want to come in to live in on this plane, on this planet. An idea does the same thing. It chooses who it presents itself to, who it shows its own visions to. An idea is choosing you because it believes in you. It believes not in your perfection or superiority, but in your ability to bring it into the world, to be a good parent. It knows you have the story. It knows you have the background. It knows you have the skills. It understands your weaknesses, but it doesn't really care because the strengths are enough. So you don't need to be perfect. You just need to step into the ring and be a parent. And you don't need to think that your life and your name and your identity will be judged by the world in terms of how your idea unfolds or how you execute on it. It's separate. Your life, your joy, your happiness, your experience of life, it depends on other kinds of work, like internal work, where you learn how to be happy with whatever story you get, with whatever path your life takes. The process of executing an idea is what you do for something else, another spiritual entity, and the people who will be impacted by it. It's not really about you. You think it's about you, but it's not. And you don't need to be perfect to get started. And you don't have to have everything figured out. And you don't need to be better than other people you know. If the idea is choosing you, it knows you're gonna do a damn good job. You're gonna make it like nobody else can. It's gonna be quality. That's completely independent from whether or not it takes off quickly, whether or not it sells quickly. It has nothing to do with timeline. It has nothing to do with your strength or your resilience or your anything. It has to do with the fact that you've developed good instincts, that you have a unique perspective, and that you're the right person for this idea. So it doesn't matter if somebody else is doing it, because the way you're going to do it is going to be different and more unique. And it doesn't matter if nobody shows up in the beginning, because maybe there's stuff you still need to understand about it. Maybe just starting and finessing it and finding what works and what doesn't is what will get you to the point where you'll understand the true plan, and then those things will come. This is not about you, it's about you channeling the instincts that the idea needs you to have so that you can execute them. The idea needs you to come into this plane. And so, the idea is giving you the visions, the instincts, just the intuition you need to trust, to not question, and to act on. So the process of creation becomes this process where you get yourself out of your own way and stop trying to overthink every step, and stop thinking that your quality of execution reflects on you as a living being in terms of your value, in terms of your potential, in terms of your talent. No. Just be a good parent. Be a good parent to your idea. Give your idea what it needs. Sometimes it needs bravery. Sometimes it needs patience. Sometimes it needs to grow overnight. Sometimes it just needs a slow-moving process where you find the right niche and the right way of presenting it and the right team. And once all those ingredients are gathered, then you start seeing that progress. You're a parent. You're guiding a new energy into the world. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. It doesn't matter if it impacts 100 people or 10 million, billion. All that matters is that you give this idea the opportunity to exist in the world as it wants to exist. It's about what the idea wants, not what you want. It's about you disconnecting your identity, your assessment of how your life is going, your assessment of your own value from how well the idea is growing. It's the idea's story. It's not your story. And magic things happen when you learn to separate the two. And they're not all tangled up with your self-esteem, with your own mental barriers, your own traumas, and your own background. You'll work on that separately. You'll continue to evolve on that separately. The idea just needs you to be the imperfect person that you are as you channel its instincts and make the decisions and push it out into the world.